interviews. You don't have to tell me.
About saying, unless you want to say something bad about somebody, then go ahead. Because if you got a beef with somebody, Thomas, and the mayor's got a beef with them, I've got a beef with them too.
No,
this is your open forum.
I would love to, but unfortunately, there are people out there that I do not. I would plead the fifth on that. So let me plead the fifth on that.
Very well said. I'd never say anything bad about anyone other than the Ultimate.
Well, you're the mayor, though. You're the mayor of Canton. So I mean, obviously, the only thing you could badmouth is the Browns. But even these days, I kind of like the Deshaun Watson team. So
there we go.
They will. They will be competitive whenever he gets unsuspended.
Yeah, pretty much. I would not disagree with that. That's kind of the Trevor Bauer of the NFL, Deshaun Watson. There you go.
There you go. That's a pretty damn good analogy right there. The Trevor Bauer of the NFL.
That's pretty strange that you say that because I only own one Indians jersey, and guess whose it is? Trevor Bauer.
Well, I knew you weren't going to tell me Albert Bell, so I knew that.
Actually, no. I never owned an Albert
Bell.
Jersey.
I know we're a wrestling show, but I did enjoy those Indians jerseys of the mid to late 90s when they went to Ben Jacobs Field. I have to say I did enjoy those jerseys.
They were great back then, 94, 95. Very
good. They looked really good in the 2016 World Series, especially in Game 7. Sorry. If you bring up the Cleveland Indians, I'm gonna say that.
Well, I could even go back to 2007 in the ALCS with Boston. I think they were up 3-1 in that series. Also, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so.
Yeah, that's rough, man. That's rough. Sorry, Mayor.
Yeah.
You're a Mets guy, right, Tom?
I'm a Mets guy, so you don't have to, hit me with the Yankee stuff because I am definitely not I always like to say to people that I'm sort of the underdog fan. I'm the underdog fan of the New York teams.
I think this year the Mets actually have a larger payroll than the Yankees, don't they?
They do have a larger payroll than the Yankees. That doesn't translate. There's a famous book out there. I think it's forget. It was Jeff Pearlman who wrote it one time, and it was on the.
I love Pearlman. I read his USFL book, which was really good. Yeah.
We've talked about that on the Sports Wire radio show, and obviously the Mets in 1992, 93, I think the book was based on, had like the biggest payroll in baseball, and they lost 100 games the second year. But I realized that before anything else, I want to thank you guys for all you do for Sports Wire Radio, and I want to, really appreciate everything that you do for us here on the station and your hard work. And I'm a fan of your work, and I've listened to you guys before, come on here. And, I don't want to take over the reins of your show. I want you guys to, hit me with the stuff and everything else and, go from there. I mean, if you don't mind, though, I will put on the sportnarium.com dial here. So if anybody would like to hear it live, they have that opportunity to do so. And, fire away there, Mr. Piles.
Well, everybody, he is at Mayor of Canton. I am at AWI Pod. We are with the Reverend Tom Bryce, the matriarch, the patriarch, I think is the word I'm looking for, of Sports Wire Radio. I got the words there. And this is the Mayor of Superstars. Mayor, how the fuck are you?
Man, I am doing fantastic tonight. It's weird because now I'm thinking it's Friday and thinking tomorrow morning is going to be Saturday. So this is going to throw me all off when I wake up in the morning because we normally do this Friday nights. But yeah, man, I'm blessed to be here with the Reverend Tom Bryce and my good friend, Mr. Piles. So this is going to be a good time tonight. I feel it.
And our buddy Glenn,
Glenn
Abbott has stayed up late with us to watch this along with us. Of course, Glenn is a co-host of the Piece of Business podcast. Make sure you check them out. They're on Sports Wire Radio, just like we're on Sports Wire Radio, just like the Sit Down Marks are on Sports Wire Radio, just like our buddy Thomas Bryce is on Sports Wire Radio. So make sure you check out Sports Wire Radio. We're live right now, Mayor. How does that make you feel?
Man, it makes me feel great, but it makes me feel even better to know that Glenn is in the future and he already knows what we're going to say.
Well, I think daylight savings now is in the UK this week. So I believe now it is. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. It's 3:00 in the morning now in the UK officially. So I think this is the hour where the times get adjusted there, because we did it 2 weeks ago. So now they do it now this week in the UK. I'm pretty sure of this.
So Glenn's definitely traveling through the future right now, and as you can see, Glenn says, "You are correct, Mr. Reverend Tom Price."
Well, we have several UK shows here on SportsWire Radio, so we're pretty familiar with that. And obviously, a lot of wrestling that we cover, and I'd like to recognize a few of those companies very quickly. That is Knockout Wrestling. I'd like to recognize them. Odyssey Pro Wrestling. I also like to recognize the LWF. I'd be killed if I didn't recognize the LWF and GT Ministries, and so I just wanted to recognize them, especially for Glenn out there in the UK. And again, some of those other shows you mentioned, the Sit Down Marks. I mean, between you guys and the Sit Down Marks, I feel like you guys dominate the SportsWire radio waves. Also, Chris Belcher and the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, and his father Billy Belcher. I mean, he's always like listening to everything and retweeting everything. And the Rewind Wrestling Podcast, which is actually supposed to be live like you guys on SportsWire Radio next Saturday as well during WrestleMania. I think 11:00 in the morning. I'll be joining those guys, so I'm looking forward to that. So usually I'm not up at 11:00 in the morning, but I'll have to make an exception. So that's we'll see how that goes.
Good luck with that.
Wake up.
Yeah, good luck with that. That was like we got all the plugs in there. The mayor, you got anything you want to like discuss, or you got anything you want to review? You got any seltzers you drank today, or a burger you tried, anything like that?
I'm going to be very disappointing for a little bit of time because I just started a diet on Monday, so I'm not allowed to have basically anything fun, anything good, and it's going to be rough for the next couple of weeks. Not allowed to have anything but water, and although this may look like an alcoholic beverage, it's just water with some blue shake-up mix in it. So,
but Mayor, like WrestleMania is next week. You're not gonna. What are you gonna do then?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't plan this out very well, did I, guys?
You should probably do one of those things and just put it up until a week after.
I'm gonna pay a clone to be on a diet. I'm just gonna find someone that looks like me. And then I'm going to go do all the fun stuff next weekend.
So I guess you'll have to pull a Ted Williams then when everybody with Ted Williams' family wanted to, freeze him in time. Maybe we'll have to freeze the mayor of Canton in time, I guess. That's the way to go. And congratulations on those Chicago Bulls glasses there, Mr. Piles. I saw that on Instagram before I popped on there. So that could be the year of the Bulls here. We shall see.
I don't think it will, man. They've been struggling lately. I believe they're playing the mayor's beloved Cleveland Cavaliers as we speak. And last I saw, the Bulls are up 15. So
yeah.
Well, speaking of surprises, the Cleveland Cavaliers, for another topic, and we spoke about them on SportsWire Radio on our shows Friday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. And also, I want to recognize also Linda and Mac McGrath of the Northeast Streaming Sports channel, where you can also catch the guys here also on Roku. We were talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. They been one of the surprises here in the league, no doubt.
Yeah, very surprising team. A lot of chemistry between the players. That not a lot of superstars at the time, but a lot of chemistry, and they played really well together until a few injuries have kind of crumbled that. But they seem like they're still in it, and they may have a chance to be able to get through maybe the first round of the playoffs.
They could win a round. No, listen, it's definitely they're sort of the Knicks of 2021. So that's kind of my analogy for the Cleveland Cavaliers in terms of surprises. So we'll certainly see. We'll certainly see what happens. But I'm wondering what you guys have got him planned here for superstars here from August 1992. Is that correct? If I'm missing something here?
No, you got it. August the 15th. 1992 is what we're going to look at. We're going to get to see some more Razor Ramon, so that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, the bad guy, unfortunately. Let me see if I should pull out my Scott Hall trading card here, which I have.
Absolutely, you should.
I have to put that out there.
Just so you know, the Mayor, the Bulls are up by 10 with 9 minutes left in the fourth.
Okay.
So.
There you go.
Is it a denim shirt, Scott Hall, at the time, or is it NWO shirt?
I don't know if you can see it here, but
hold it up.
You can see
it.
Okay.
He's got the NWO shirt on.
Is he
DDP? Looks like DDP's getting the outsider's edge, it looks like.
Yeah. This is from the 1998 WCW NWO Topps trading card set. When I was growing up in Brooklyn as a kid, there used to be when we had trading card stores back in the day, I used to always run meticulously to a card shop, which was a couple of blocks away from my school at the time, and I would always find a way to buy the trading card set, and that's how I had the Scott Hall mint condition. Unfortunately, all too often with these wrestlers, I'm pulling out of my card collection, and they're not with us, and Scott Hall is one of them. So kind of fitting here that we're going to watch a show with Mr. Razor Ramon.
That's right. That's right. You know, we watch a lot of 90s wrestling here, and unfortunately, a lot of the guys we see are no longer with us. That's such a great thing. And I know people look at wrestling now and say, I wish it was like the old days. But do you really? Because do you want guys dying at 40? I don't.
That was the Bret Hart comment, I think, after Scott Hall's death. I think with 300 days a year and all the guys with all the pounding on the road and everything else like that. And I mean, that was the it was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the John Candy, Steve Martin movie in a nutshell. It was professional wrestling, all throughout that era that we all grew up in.
It's kind of like the traveling circus, but with wrestling.
Pretty much.
It's the carnival.
Definitely.
Now, when we push play here, Brent, are we going to be in Glen Falls, New York? And if so, have you ever been there, Tom?
I have not been to Glen Falls, New York. I am familiar with where Glen Falls, New York is, but I cannot say that I have been to Glen Falls, New York.
Okay, so you will not be in the Superstars recording.
No, unfortunately, I will not be. In 1992, I was in Brooklyn, New York, so ways away from there. So that's not where I was in. So
that's too bad. That's too bad. That wouldn't have been great if we turned this on and fucking Thomas is in the
just young little Tom, 12-year-old with a full set of chops on.
No, I didn't have chops in 19. I don't think I could have grew chops. I don't even think I had hair like this. It took me a while to grow the hair like this. So unfortunately, my parents didn't allow me to grow my hair really up until I was a senior in high school. So that took me a while. So 92, I was a baby. So we're talking. We're gonna watch.
That's why he's gonna have long hair forever because he's defying his parents, right?
I hope so.
All right, well,
I would too, but genetics hasn't played very well with me for that area.
Well, I will say one thing. It each to its own. I mean, there was one kid a friend of mine grew up with in high school, and the days of hanging out and such, and he was balding by high school. So sometimes it happens, genetics, but we shall see. One day at a time.
I knew a guy in high school who looked like 37 years old when we were juniors. So yeah, I had to be.
There was always somebody like that had either like weird mustache or like the balding head, or it was just the eyeballs, the buggy eyeballs, whatever it was. We all knew somebody like that. I as a freshman in high school, there was actually I could say it now, but there was actually like 3 kids we hung out with in the lunchroom that were, I think, like 20 years old. They were like in their 6th or 7th year in high school. So I had a buddy like that. I had one of my friends who was in school for 7 years in high school. So that's he was kind of Van Wilder.
They were more persistent than me because I quit after the 11th grade and I never went back. So
my one friend was like, I gotta keep going. He was like, I gotta hang out. I'm gonna meet a girl. I'm gonna meet friends. And it was like, dude, you're like 20 though. I mean,
it's not legal anymore.
You can't be meeting girls here. No,
you can't. Exactly, you can't. But
Okay, well, let's get into this thing. It's August 15th, 1992. If you're not watching on the Northeast Sports streaming app, which you should be, or you're listening at a later date, fire it up on your Peacock. Watch along with us. Get the cock up, and let's do it. I'm going to count down for 3. Thomas and Mayor, are you ready to do this?
I am very ready. I can't wait to see what we've got. I saw Brad Pitt's twin brother, Chad Pitt, the picture of him that you put up.
My first thought was it Mike Enos. That was my first thought.
That was Chad Pitt.
All right.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I hope we get to see Chad Pitt, to be honest with you. It was a hard, because I looked through all the jobbers that were going to be on the show, and it was a hard choice to pick which one I should put up here. So it's hard. This is the second week in a row, Mayor, we don't get a Vince McMahon Mr. Perfect opening.
Oh, we're actually going to get a match between Skinner and Big Boss Man.
Yeah, it's not a jobber versus a mainstay guy, so that's amazing.
No, this is a strange way to kick off the show. We're actually going to get a legitimate match, possibly.
Thomas Bryceland, if I told you that Skinner beat Owen Hart at a WrestleMania, would you believe me?
No, I wouldn't believe you.
Well, he did.
Now, WrestleMania 8. Was it Owen Hart or was this Blazer?
No, it was Owen Hart.
The
It
Rocket
wasn't
Owen
okay.
Hart, correct? Was
Yeah.
it the Rocket
So-
Owen Hart, right?
The Rocket Owen Hart, yeah. So
With the
before
long blonde hair and in the jumpsuit almost, where I think he was
yep,
tag teaming with Coco Beware. Correct me if I'm
that's
wrong.
him. That's
I knew the answer, but I wanted to play along for the audience here.
You're
Unfortunately.
smart, Mr. Tom Bryce knows how to play the game. Appreciate that. Oh,
Now,
here
what do
we
you think
go.
about Skinner's outfit here, Tom?
It's very 1992. I mean, it's a very 1992.
Do you think he actually has buttons on there, or did it just come without buttons?
Knowing Vince McMahon, he probably told him to take the buttons off and just walk into the ring like that. Knowing
God
Vince
damn it,
probably
pal.
was enjoying seeing Skinner in the ring like that. That's all.
I see you got the buttons on your shirt, pal. Why don't you take those buttons off? God damn, let's see the hamburger meat. Of course, that's what happened.
Ooh, nice punch. Do you think Skinner had a last name before Vince got to him? Do you think he was Skinner like Wilson?
You're Skinner Kern.
Maybe. I mean, Mr. Skinner. I don't know what you define. I'm trying to think of a name that would be appropriate towards Skinner. I don't know. Maybe
Skinner Smith.
I mean, I will say one thing. Certainly, the top of his head looks like it's been skinned a little bit. I mean, certainly that's definitely a very 1992 look there with the mullet. And I'm assuming here on the screen that's an ode to Nails, if I'm not mistaken.
That had to be Nails' eyes. Yeah, it was very creepy.
Yeah, well,
he's somewhere choking the motherfucker right now.
Oh, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is.
What did he just take from the top rope and put inside his shirt? Is he the Repo Man now? What the fuck just happened?
I didn't see what it was.
Is it like a plier, maybe, or some type of object?
It was a gator tooth, is what it was.
It was a bag of his. Tooth. It was a bag of his buttons. They've come back to haunt the boss man.
The ghost of the buttons.
That's gotta be it, pal. He's now choking him nail style.
What is he? He's like choking him with his junk. Is what he? What was that?
I don't know what the fuck's going on. The big boss man has been choked enough. Stop choking this man. Every time he's on my street, somebody's choking him.
First it was Nails, now Skinner. I think it's a claw. Is it an alligator claw?
I'm so fucking confused.
1993, 2.
Yeah,
it is an alligator claw, I think.
Okay, well, he's got an alligator claw and he's choking people with it. Tom, is it true that there are alligators living in the sewers in New York City? Is that true, or is that? I live in Nebraska. I don't know.
I don't think there's alligators living in the sewers in New York City. I mean I mean maybe Ninja Turtles might be living in the sewers of New York City, but I don't know about alligators. I mean I couldn't confirm or deny that. Although I can tell you I see all the time in Staten Island, believe it or not, you guys will appreciate this. I see turkeys, I've seen deer, I've seen those objects, but I haven't seen alligators yet. I'll get back to you if I do see alligators, though. Hopefully, I live to tell if I see one.
I hope so. God, I hope so. I'd love to hear the story of the alligator coming out of the sewer. That'd be great. Big wind-up on the punch there, Mayor. I saw you did the action.
I was getting into it, boss man, with that wind-up. Now, Brent and I both being some Midwest fellows, we've always wondered, has someone that we would typically think having some accent, would you think that we have an accent?
I mean, you guys are from the Midwest, so it's not like you guys are from, like, the South, like the WCW. I mean, so...
But are we just like bland? We're just like, we have no accent, right?
But you could say the same about me. I'm from New York, right? Everybody.
I know. I think
most people. I mean, most states are kind of pretty biased toward New Yorkers for, a lot of reasons, understandably so. And we see Vince McMahon and Mr. Perfect here on the screen. I mean, certainly an interesting combo here. And there's Vince McMahon, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. But to answer your question, I don't really. I mean,
no
slight accents, but I mean, nothing like Southern accents.
I was told once that I sound like someone who's from nowhere. Is what someone told me.
Well, we're all from nowhere, really. I mean, you can.
That's a really good point.
That's a very deep point, Tom.
Listen, let your heart not be troubled. I have a Reverend Mr. Piles, and I will tell if that happens to you next time, just tell him that you're from parts unknown, like Cactus Jack. That's all.
There we go. Or the Ultimate Warrior. The mayor loves the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, well, I'm well aware. I've heard the shows. I've been listening to you guys here quite a bit, and certainly we see the Undertaker on the screen here, and Razor Ramon and Kamala.
The only other place that I'd less like to be from is maybe the planet Goldberg.
Well, if you ask Bret Hart, I mean, he certainly had his opinions. I was reading on Twitter here this afternoon. So, and then we get a special interview from the WWF champion, the Macho Man, Randy Savage here, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, yeah, we're going to give a 1992 promo over here with Mr. Thomas Bryce.
Jay Lethal here must be listening to the mayor's impression of the Macho. There's the ice cream bar. There's the WWF ice cream bars.
I can't see who they got, though, because whoever you got on the ice cream bar, depending how good it tasted. Like, if it was Hulk Hogan, it tasted great. If it was Greg Valentine, you don't even want to eat that fucking thing.
Well, I'll tell you, I have 2 trading cards somewhere, and I can't find them. The 2 ice cream bars I remember most having were Razor Ramon and Yokozuna. So those were the ones I do remember having from the ice cream bars. I can't think of anybody else I had, but I definitely remember Razor Ramon and Yokozuna.
Yeah, the Miss Elizabeth bar. Oh, this
She is not a fan of Kamala. She said, "I don't want to hear this shit."
No, you can see that.
There's
Joe Steele. That's the guy. That's the guy from the picture.
Now that looks like somebody from Glen Falls, New York. That definitely looks like a kid from Glen Falls, New York.
Joe Steele.
Joe Steele looks like he's from Glen Falls, New York. Also, he's probably somebody that they use certainly from that circuit there with Kamala and Kim Chi. If I see there,
you got it, kimchi. Kimchi, which is an Asian dish.
Now, oh wow, nice quick chop to the head. Old Chad Pitts down and out, getting stomped on by Kamala.
All right, let's see. This was done in Worcester, Massachusetts, at the Worcester Spectrum. So there you go.
Wasn't that a place that they did a lot of those superstar tapings in those days? I feel like Worcester came up quite a bit.
Yeah, so typically the superstar tapings, they would go around, one area, and then they would shoot like 5 or 6 of them in the same spot. And so for like 6 weeks, it'd be Glen Falls, and 6 weeks it's in Ontario,
right?
And 6 weeks it's in Detroit, and right now it's in Massachusetts. So
Wrestling Challenge was similar to that, if you guys remember the old Wrestling Challenge shows.
I think they were all primarily in the Northeast.
Well,
most of those were.
The WWF is stationed in Stamford, Connecticut. That's
that makes sense.
I should probably tell that story real quick. My uncle actually, I have an uncle that actually lives literally outside of Stamford, and I lived for a summer in Connecticut. And I remember, like, every day we would just pass by the WWE building. You'd always look at it, and it was kind of like just passing by and be like, "Wow, WWE!" And that was kind of cool. Always passing by the building there, the Titan Towers, as they called them.
Titan Towers. Yep, that would be pretty fucking cool to see. I've never been there, so I would like to just go by there just one time. That'd be fucking cool.
It's right off the highway. I think it's like exit 5, if I recall, like exit 5 or exit 6 on the highway. You can't miss it. It's so big. It's WWE. I mean,
yeah, that's what we say about the cornfields here, Tom. So big.
Well, we had Field of Dreams not too far from you last summer with the White Sox and Yankees, so it wasn't too far from you. We saw some of that, so that was kind of cool.
2 teams I really dislike.
Well, I know that I would figure. Well, 2 teams I don't care much for either, so it makes 2 of us.
Mayor, do you own any loincloths like Kamala's here? Do you ever dress like Kamala for Halloween? Or would you never?
I'm not much of a cheetah guy. I actually, mine's actually in zebra print.
Okay. He's gonna pet him on his back, of course. Or is he gonna?
You can't do that, Kamala. Roll him over.
I think he figured. Oh my God, Mary's figured it out. He did it. I can't believe it.
We have a winner.
Kamala figured out how to pin Joe Steele. I never thought I'd see the day, but here we are.
August
Amazing.
15th, 1992, the day of infamy. It goes down in the record books.
Oh, it is amazing. Thomas Price is here with us. We're live, Sportswire Radio, and Kamala learned how to pin somebody, and now he's hitting the fans like a shield.
Oh, God. Those children are frightened.
Well, wouldn't you be?
I'm...
And then we get our ICO Pro update. I think was it an AEW this past week, or I think it was AEW Dynamite. There was somebody who had an ICO Pro shirt in attendance. I don't know if you guys saw Dynamite this past week. I'm pretty sure I saw somebody in attendance with an ICO Pro shirt. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
I wonder if they had that made specifically, or if that's an original.
Well, somebody might have it out there. I mean, I'm sure eBay you could buy an ICO Pro shirt, or I don't know. I
Mayor,
guess
so. Mayor, if you don't have an ICO Pro shirt on this goddamn show in the next 2 fucking weeks, I'm going to wonder what you're doing with your life.
I'm going to see if I can find Sean Mooney's tie on eBay.
Hey, so, Thomas, you ever seen a Repo Man look like this guy? He's got like a fucking rope with a goddamn hook on it, like he's going to fucking pull a car away. Does that happen in New York?
I mean, a lot of things happen in New York. I wish that some of the burglars looked like Mr. Barry Darshow there. I certainly would hope and wish, but I can't say I've seen somebody look like that when maybe breaking into a car or a robbery or two into someone's homes in New York City. But
look here, Mayor of Canton, I have the ashes in the air. I can't believe they charged you lot to watch SummerSlam 2 days late. May you rest in peace.
Well, I should say, speaking of rest in peace, actually, my neighbors across the street are a cemetery. So, actually, I live near Undertaker's, literally right across the street from me. So, see him all the time.
Have you ever gone over and asked for their autograph?
Oh, all the time, all the time. I mean, I ask him for all types of advice, and I get turned down most of the time for the autographs. But
see, you lived across the street from the Undertaker, and I thought I always lived across the street from Hulk Hogan. So things are coming full circle here.
Suburban Commando all over again.
I know, very much.
Nobody is ever cool has ever lived across the street from me. God damn it, that sucks. Thomas, when you said, speaking of rest in peace, I thought you were going to tell us that your neighbors across the street died. I was like, oh my God, that's terrible.
Dead. I mean, they're literally dead. And one of the things I always joke on the Sportswire radio shows, and I think this came up a couple of weeks ago, is I said, hopefully I don't have to go too far for my final resting peace or resting place, whatever you want to call it. And then we see Kamala here is still, I guess he's coming back into the ring here with Kim Chi and Mr. Harvey Whippleman.
He's clearly celebrating with the fans because he learned how to fucking pin people. He's never done that before, so it's amazing. The crowd's with him. Amazing. He's got stars on his titties.
Did you guys see the Harvey Whippleman story not too long ago where I think The Rock credited him, I think, for his actual start in the WWF at the time? I'm pretty sure Harvey Whippleman was an article done on him. I didn't even think about it. I think he drove him around at some point in Memphis in those days, like 1995, 96, if I'm not mistaken.
True. When he's Flex Cabana, that's probably.
Yeah, I feel like that was on that Young Rock show on NBC. If you had a chance to watch that, I think that was in the first episode of it.
Yeah, I think I saw a couple, like 1 or 2 shows on it. Yep. Oh boy, look like we're getting that.
We're getting a lot of big time feuds going on here on Superstars. We had Undertaker and Kamala having a stare down, and we had Skinner and Boss Man, and we had Chad Pitt and his pit.
So they got a casket match coming up. I like Mayor. I feel like now me and you have to watch SummerSlam 1992 because we watched this whole fucking build to it. Now we have to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it has to be done. I think, is it the Natural Disasters and Beverly Brothers that have a match too?
Yes,
I mean,
that's correct.
Is that for the tag team championships? Is that match for the tag team titles, or am I missing something?
Indeed, you're right. I mean, that has our names written all over it, Mayor.
That definitely sounds. If anyone should be watching that, this podcast is who should still be watching that in the year 2022.
Glenn's in. He'll watch it with us. That's damn right he will. He was there. I believe Glenn actually had dinner with the Undertaker after the show too, and that's not a bullshit story. That's a shoot right there. Glenn Abbott, the Forrest Gump of the internet wrestling community, stealing that from Jerry.
Hey, listen, got to give him a lot of credit. He had a great interview with Bobby Blaze of the Piece of Business show, and they do a phenomenal job, of course, him and Jeremy for SportsWire Radio. So always enjoy their content as well here. They're a big part of the station.
And speaking of those guys, we'll get the plug in here. We're going to do our live WrestleMania preview show. April 2nd, I believe, is the date. It's next Saturday. It's at 10 a.m. Eastern time. The mayor's going to be there too. Mayor, you're currently the Piece of Business pay-per-view champion, so you're going to defend your title against Glenn and Jeremy and myself. We may watch a WrestleMania match. Tune into that. Twitch.tv/AWI.
Did we miss this man's name, or is he
I
just
believe
going to
we've
be?
seen it before. It's like Kevin Kruger or something like that.
You know what I find interesting about watching The Undertaker here in this match is that he looked taller in the earlier incarnations of The Undertaker. Not to say that he wasn't short by any stretch of the imagination, but he always seemed to me taller in these days versus when we saw him maybe in the tail end of his career. You guys ever noticed that a little bit? Maybe with the stilts, made him look a little taller?
You mean the boots maybe had some lifts in them?
Yeah.
Yep.
That could
I could see
definitely
that.
be. Well, and as you know, when you get older, you start to lose a little bit of height. Just
Yep.
just get
gosh.
age, you just start to lose a couple inches. But you could be right. And it also just might be like the presence of him. Maybe the presence of him just seems bigger now than later. But I mean, I never really thought about it like that. But I think you're right. I think he is a little bit taller here.
Have there ever been that pale of a superstar that's been a world champion outside of him and Sheamus?
No, I don't think so. Not in WWF at least.
Yeah, I
Big
mean,
shows
I'm trying to think about it now. I mean,
Oh, gosh.
Kane, maybe? Would you count
Yeah.
Kane without the mask? That might be
Yeah.
the only other one.
Well, he was all burned up so for a while, so he was at least like charcoal colored. So he couldn't have been.
Oh, we're getting a workout WBF commercial.
Oh, I love me and the mayor are just gonna find the WWF on YouTube and just watch 5 minutes of it. Just to see what
I'm
that's
sure
about.
Vince is still watching him. Also, I'm sure
Oh,
Vince is still watching. Him.
Oh, look at it. The vascularity. Oh, God. Bruce,
Damn it!
get me some
Well,
chicken
I
and
mean,
mustard.
I know I don't want to spoil it, but I know that we're gonna watch Razor Ramon here, and I think it was one of the shoots I saw Scott Hall, and he kind of implied that sort of about Vince McMahon and certain I guess things he would watch. So I don't want to say any further, but that was in I think the U shoot that Scott Hall did.
Oh,
This might be him right here, do you think?
No, this got to be Randy Savage.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Because we're getting an interview with Macho Man and Randy Savage. Hopefully the Warrior doesn't show up and start confusing shit, because that's the mayor's
no.
only wish is he could get through an episode of Superstars without the Ultimate Warrior showing up.
Well, we've got what are we? August 1992. So realistically, what have we got? About 3 more months of the Warrior in the WWF, and for this schedule, right? Like 3 more
That's
months.
it. Around
I think
November,
so.
he's gone forever,
We'll get
Mayor.
there.
So
We'll get there, Mr. Mayor. We'll definitely get there.
he's gone. He's out of here.
He keeps finding his way back.
Well, he comes back in '96, but only for like 2 months. So
That's true.
I'm gonna make the mayor watch the Halloween Havoc 1998 match between Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior just to pain him.
That's a
That'd be
very
fun.
long match, too, that
And I
should not be
think,
that
I
long.
think, if I'm not mistaken, the match I think that the Warrior had with Sting against Hart and Hogan, it's one of the last times Nitro beat Raw in the ratings, right? Is that I think one of the last times that
I wanna
they
say
ever
you're
beat
right.
Raw. One of the last in that run here. I think that's why they brought Warrior back. They kind of took a little bit of a lead in the ratings, and then that's kind of where everything went south. Although to me, I think right after the Finger Poke of Doom is kind of where WCW and the ratings war went south pretty much, no pun intended.
Shot themselves in their foot by announcing on live TV that Mankind was going to win the championship, and then
That
instantly
didn't
a million
help. That
people
didn't
switched
help.
over. Yeah.
That didn't help. And then the NWO, the Wolfpack reboot, and that
I've
didn't
always
really-
just thought that they had too many members in the NWO.
Bingo.
It became. That's what it became. It became. Listen, half the roster was on either Hollywood Black and White or the Wolfpack.
Yeah, it just got too large and lost its meaning.
Good news, Mayor. The Warrior didn't show up. We just got Mr. Perfect, who is.
I will take Mr. Perfect's left shoe over the Ultimate Warrior.
I'll take the gum he spits out of his mouth and slaps with his hand.
How about the jacket? How about Mr. Perfect's jacket there?
That is nice.
What a sweet jacket there, right?
Amazing.
Do you think it would be, frowned upon if you just walked around your city with a jacket that said Mr. Perfect?
Oh, well, I gotta try it. I gotta find out and get back to you on that. Maybe during the week, I gotta figure that out.
I mean, I could probably pull it off in Canton, but I don't know about New York City.
If I walked around with a jacket that said Mr. Perfect, that'd be on the news.
Well, I would tell you, if you did it in, let's say, in my neck of the woods in Staten Island, I could certainly see somebody roll up their car and either look to shoot you or basically say some words that we can't. Well, maybe we could repeat on here, but
say them.
I'll let the imagination run wild, but certainly you might be playing with fire, some would say, if you were to wear a jacket like the one that Mr. Perfect has on. Certainly, it's a distinct possibility.
So what you're saying is it would be more apropos if I was wearing Macho Man's fringe sparkly jacket.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
That'd be way more normal.
Yeah, it'd be way more normal. The orange, they'd think I'm a Mets fan, maybe.
Well, because there's some weird people out there on Staten Island, so I could see some people that would definitely probably look like that. So yeah,
that's fine. He's just a crazed Mets fan. It's March, but he's a crazed Mets fan.
Now we actually do have a Cleveland Browns fan that dresses like Macho Man and goes to every single game.
I think I've seen that on during the games. I think I've seen that. Listen, so
he makes television a lot.
It's kind of like the Raiders fan. Remember the guy? You always see him on the screen. He's got like spikes on his head. He's got the face paint, and I think there was an interview done with him once. I want to say a few years ago, and it was talking about the whole setup with him. I'm pretty sure I saw that there from Raiders Nation, as they would say.
I mean, the Raiders got a good team coming up, man.
Yeah, the Raiders. Listen, the Raiders. It's going to be a AFC West for the ages, Mr. Mayor. Glad you're not in the AFC West.
Yeah, it's going to be rough between the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Raiders. Everyone.
You are in the AFC West, because I don't know if you heard, Thomas, but fucking the Mayor's and the Chargers fan now. So
yeah,
you are in the AFC West.
Well, can you next time please tell your coach that he didn't need to do what he needed to do toward the end of the game there and against the Raiders, because they basically were going to play for both teams making the playoffs, and instead we had to sit through the Pittsburgh Steelers lamely being the postseason there. So,
that was like a double kick in the junk.
Tim McNervy and Jim McSwervy. I made that up.
The one guy kind of looks like Marty Jannetty in the face.
You stole my thunder, the Mayor. That was exactly what I was about to say. Exactly what I was about to say. You stole my thunder. Speaking of those who certainly have a price, and that is Money Inc. with Mr. Jimmy Hart there. I was watching, speaking of Ted DiBiase, I was watching this because I almost really don't sleep these days. I was watching a documentary on Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and it was showing that fame. Yep. Okay. Yep. His son was a big part of it, and they were showing his interesting.
Do your taxes. Sorry, I had to.
We're 15 days away. You better take care of that, pals.
It's funny you said that. I was actually thinking about that this afternoon. I have to do my taxes because I always wait until right about April 13th, 14th.
Well, this is a reminder with IRS, Erwin R. Shyster there. He's giving you a reminder.
I actually had to look for my financial statements this past week because I couldn't find them.
Well, good. I'm glad we could help. I'm glad AWI Pod can help everybody out there remember to do their taxes.
We appreciate
we're here for a reason.
That's right. We don't know what, and that is apparently the reason to make sure you do your taxes.
We're not sure what it is yet, but if there is one, it's to remind you to pay your taxes.
There you go. Or
I'm watching $1 Million Man here, Ted DiBiase, and we see IRS get into the ring, and I'm going to throw this out there for you guys because I heard this somewhere. I forget where it was, but do you guys actually consider the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, to be a former WWF World Champion?
Mayor?
Yes. Didn't Andre win it and give it to him?
Yep.
Well, he did.
Exactly.
Well,
But
he
Andre
did.
had the belt taken because he didn't win it legally. Was that the
Technically,
Earl?
No,
Was that the
no,
Earl Hebner
no.
thing?
So here's what happened. Yeah, Earl Hebner things. Here's what happened. They ruled that he couldn't give the title to the $1 Million Man, and so they took the title away from him. So technically, he was never ever champion. I have to play devil's advocate here. He was never actually officially champion. I think he maybe did one house show with the belt before they took it back.
Yeah, I think I had heard him in an interview say that he traveled around with the belt maybe for a few days or something, like 5 or 6 days. He traveled around with the belt. So I just thought that was an interesting.
I know that there's a house show out there where he's in the main event and he's billed as the World Wrestling Federation champion. And I don't know what house show it is, but I know there's pictures of it where he's wearing the belt before the match. So, but technically, he's not supposed. He was never champion.
I think that Lex Luger, when he was the American whatever
made in the USA, Lex Luger, and they had him walk around with the belt like for one taping, right?
Yeah, they had him walk around with the belt as the champion just to like mess with people.
Yeah.
So
did you guys ever hear the old story that they claimed that he was in a bar and said he was going to win at WrestleMania and be the champion, and then I guess Vince McMahon got wind of it and changed the outcome, but then Lex Luger himself said that it wasn't true, and he did a number of shoot interviews and it was kind of addressed. So that was always kind of the old, like, I guess, rumor or old innuendo is that Lex Luger was at some bar and said he was going to win the championship, and he wound up obviously with WrestleMania 10 not winning the championship, and that was kind of the end of his run really in WWF in terms of any notable success afterwards. And there we see.
What do you mean? He was in a tag team with the British Bulldog named the Allied Powers. I'm being facetious.
Now, did he ever come back after the WCW?
No.
I don't remember him being ever one of the guys that ever came back, right?
Because he had the contract. He still had the contract, and he didn't get out.
And I want to say not too long after WCW went under, he had his spinal stroke or whatever, and he's been.
Well, yeah. Well, before that, Elizabeth obviously passed away. And
that too, yeah.
That was a whole. But he was a part of. Do you guys remember? It was the Australian company. I think it was Andrew McMahon. I think Sting was a part of it. Jeff Jarrett, Kevin.
Where they traveled down to Australia.
Yeah, I think it was the World of Wrestling or whatever it was. WWA.
Hashtag fuck money.
There we go. There's the man.
Virgil's here. Get the meat, sauce, and the breadsticks ready. Virgil's here. God damn.
I'll talk to you like that.
That's right. Now, if you don't give me my breadsticks, motherfucker, we're going to have a problem, motherfucker. If you got my hands behind my back, then you know you're in trouble, motherfucker.
And we'll break bread right now at the Olive.
Look at
2 times, 2 orders of breadsticks, or I'll cut your throat.
Nice work, pal. Nice work.
Sean Mooney here, telling you all about SummerSlam days. Oh,
Mr. Fuji.
Do you think Mr. Fuji ever did any ribs on the Berserker's helmet?
He might have. Yeah, I mean,
like he took a dump in it and handed it to him one time.
He's pissed in that thing at least once. Yeah, he's pissed in that thing at least once. For sure.
Now this has to be one of Mr. Fuji's last appearances here with the Berserker before Yokozuna enters the picture here, right? If I'm not mistaken.
That's true. Yeah, it's got to be
Sounds about right.
And we have Tatanka here.
Tatanka's here. Another one of the mayor's favorites, Tatanka.
He hasn't talked to this. There he goes. I knew he had to talk to the spirits. It was coming. Couldn't cut a promo without talking to the spirits. Little Tatankas.
Talking to the Warriors.
All over the world, all over the
Tatanka,
globe.
who actually had, I think, a longer winning streak than Goldberg, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't his winning streak, I think, for like over 2 years or something like that?
It was a really long time because, like I was telling Mary the last episode that we did, I remember him wrestling Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 9, and he won by countout, and he was still undefeated at that time. Okay, I know who beat him on his first match. Do you
Ludwig Borga, right?
Ludwig Borga. Thomas has got it. Yeah, Ludwig Borga broke Tatanka's undefeated streak.
I would have.
You know why I know that? Because I remember as a kid having WWF magazine. It was like such a big deal that Tatanka lost. That's why I remember that.
Because Could you imagine trying to sell a pay-per-view 2 days after it's recorded now? It'd be on YouTube before it aired. That's a really good point,
Yeah.
Glenn. Yeah, it would be.
You can't even, not get house show news anymore, like almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like finding out who's winning a
Well,
house
do
show.
you guys remember buying? It was Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and there was another one. I remember as a kid buying the magazines to find out the house show results because
Mhm.
even in the late '90s, you couldn't find anywhere with like certain results or outcomes, and this time you'd have the hotline numbers. Mean Gene would have his hotline, and I think later on Mike Tenay had his, and then Jim Ross had his at one point. So that was kind of those are the days.
That was, I don't know if you might not have heard the story, but when I was a young child, I racked up like a high phone bill calling it.
I think I did hear that on one of the shows. I think you mentioned it. Yeah, you did.
I don't know if you had heard that. Or
I
not.
do. I remember that. No, I do. Trust me. I try to listen to almost all you guys' shows when we play them on SportsWire. I like to always be in the loop.
I hadn't talked about that one in a while, but yes, young me did racked up many hundreds of dollars on the WWF hotline, WCW too.
Wait, is Mr. Perfect is still a managerial advocate here, right?
He is. He's the advocate for Ric Flair.
The original advocate.
There you go. And of course, the British Bulldog wasn't even fucking there. That's going to take on Bret the Hitman Hart.
This is the only place he ever was because they're in Wembley.
That's the only place he was ever fucking there.
He's only ever been in Britain and the British Bulldog. We got Martha. Is that Martha?
No, it's Diana.
Diana Hart.
Diana
Hart Smith.
That is the British Bulldog's wife. 7-2. Good news, Mayor. Mayor, good news. Good news. Chicago Bulls win.
Dang it. I don't know if that's good news for me, but
I'll drink to that, pal.
If I could throw an analogy, for whatever reason, I've always thought that the Hart family is like wrestling's version of the Addams family.
Yeah.
I bet
correct.
I'm imagining Stu Hart's house looking very much like the Addams family house.
Well, the stories were pretty much some interesting stories, to say the least, that would happen in that house. That's why I kind of thought the Addams family was wrestling's version with the Harts. I mean,
I think that's correct. I've heard lots of stories about things in that house. So yes, definitely the Addams family of professional wrestling for sure.
Now, why was she all alone cutting a promo out in the park, and now Davey Boy's here? I don't know where he is.
He's right in front of Buckingham Palace. Glenn really liked that analogy. Good analogy. And he said, "Brett, I might not even be fucking there, but you're going to be fucking there." That's what he said.
Well,
and
the
then
British
after that, he
Bulldog,
snapped twice, like the Addams family.
I will say one thing about the British Bulldog. His strong suit was not cutting promos or interviews. Certainly, that was not his strongest thing.
I mean, let's be honest. It wasn't Bret Hart's strongest thing ever. The Bret Hart wasn't the greatest promo of all time. I don't think Bret Hart started cutting really, really, really good promos until he started cutting anti-American promos when he was the heel.
Yeah, I think
that's when he really became. But he was in a great promo. He was decent, but not a great promo.
I thought the stuff he did with Diesel going into Survivor Series '95 was pretty good, but other than that, he was very hit or miss, very, very, very kind of dry.
I was talking about this with somebody the other day on Twitter about his match that he had with Bret Hart versus Diesel at Royal Rumble 1995.
Yep.
Which, if you have not seen that match, go back and watch it. The absolute great storytelling there. That match was fucking. That's probably Kevin Nash's best match. I think that one is better than the Survivor Series no DQ match. I really do. It was a family feud. She badly acted being split between her brother and her
pretty much. I mean, pretty much. That's kind of what that was there.
Mayor, I believe Glenn was pretty good friends with Davey Boy Smith, so he has some insight to this.
Oh, no question. I'm sure that he definitely does. And we see here Mr. Lanny Puffo there, right there in the background.
Oh, I swoon! It's Handsome Earthquake.
I'm starting to sweat a little bit. Look at that handsome man.
I just watched a match with Earthquake in WCW. I think it was like WCW Worldwide '96. It was him and Hulk Hogan. I forget what they called him, but it was like
Avalanche.
Shark?
Yeah, the Shark.
Shark.
The Shark. That's it. The Shark. It was the Shark. 1996 on WCW Worldwide. It was like a 4-minute match, and it was like like a goofy, just what a goofy match it was.
What a handsome man! I remember WCW Worldwide. They had it like on, like the ring would spin. It was on
Yes,
like a thing
yeah.
where the ring would spin. Yeah, that was fucking cool.
I don't know when you guys got Worldwide, but we used to get it in New York. We used to get it Sunday mornings, or we get it sometimes before Mets games because they would play Mets games at like 1:00 on a Sunday, and we would get Worldwide as the lead in like at 12:00.
It was usually a Saturday or a Sunday morning show here.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was a Saturday morning show here.
Okay, yeah, we used to get it. Channel 9 used to play it Sunday mornings or Sunday afternoons. We would get it generally.
Harvey Whippleman's pissed. He threw his hat off. Tomorrow's fucking confused and sweating. Goddamn, look at him. He's like, I don't know what I want.
I feel like though Kamala always is sweating. It always looks like this.
He looks very frightened after seeing that urn in The Undertaker, though. He's very.
And we're going to get handsome on a pole where the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels takes on Yes, I'm a Model, the model Rick Martel. That's too much handsome for any man to handle. Imagine, Mayor, if they threw Handsome Earthquake in this for a triple threat match. I'd fall out of this chair like Vince McMahon with Stacy Keibler.
Well, if you saw Stacy Keibler's backside, you probably would fall over right too if you were right next to it. So,
yeah, you're right about that one, pal.
And the sensational Sherry here. Is he?
Is he
He's
actually
talking to her.
He's just because that was weird. She's
And
all
she's
the way
also
alive.
standing right where the British Bulldog was. Where did he go?
She pushed him out of the way, clearly. Well, Mayor, as you know, he wasn't even fucking there.
He
So
wasn't. That's because he wasn't even there.
he wasn't even fucking there.
Look at all these pearls. Very, very classy look here.
She is
Minus-
someone that I would love to have seen, in the modern era of wrestling, because like a lot of people don't know her as a wrestler, but she would have been a hell of a worker if she was wrestling nowadays. If they were putting girls in the ring in the 90s like they are now, I think she would have been great.
yeah, that was a different, different era. Yeah, I mean, she was really one of a handful of women managers that could maybe mix it up more or less in that era. Certainly, I mean, she was really one of maybe one or two. Maybe I throw Luna Vachon in there with Bam Bam Bigelow would be an example.
Definitely.
Another one.
And Miss Elizabeth, who I can't remember ever really having a match. I'm sure they probably stuck her in one in like WCW 2000 or something. But
Yeah, I think with WCW she had one. Not certainly in WWF.
Yeah, probably her and Lex Luger versus fucking Prince Iakea and Chastity or some shit like that.
That's like a WCW Thunder main event.
For real. Fuck yeah, 2000? Yes, it is.
I was gonna go with Sonny and Skip.
Here we go.
I think they were there for like a weekend.
Yeah, I think Tammy Sitch was in WCW like really briefly. Like maybe a couple of shows.
Yeah, she definitely was around there. Probably sucking up pills or whatever. Anyway, Razor Ramon is on his way to the ring here. Looking handsome as ever. Chico.
What was your favorite thing to imitate as Razor Ramon when you were a kid?
That's an easy one. The toothpicks. I mean, I used to always have the toothpick in my mouth. That's an easy one. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Would be the toothpick.
Mine was putting the arms out in front of you when you walk. You used to do that. Yeah.
When you walk in like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I used to love listening to the to his music entrance. I used to always love listening to that.
The WWF Full Metal album.
I have it on cassette. I wish I actually have it on cassette. It's not in front of me. I wish I would have known. I actually would have pulled it out because I have the cassette.
Awesome.
I believe that means you own the rights to it, so you could play it on here, and we couldn't get sued.
I could play it on SportsWire Radio. I actually could, but I'd have to then transfer a cassette onto a computer, and I actually was looking into that, but I don't know if that's how to do that
legal?
right now.
Yeah, me neither, pal. You're on your own on that one. It's got to be some way to do it.
Now, have you guys seen the match between Razor Ramon and I don't know if this is the match. I don't think it is, but have you seen the match between Razor Ramon and Carmella's father, Paul Van Dale?
We just watched.
Yeah, we watched that last week.
Yeah, that was his debut match. Yeah, that's a vicious chokeslam there by Razor. He said, "I wore red tights, bitch, not you," and chokeslam the fuck out of him.
Speaking of the jacket, I do have to mention the jacket because one of our shows is Wrestling with the Truth podcast, and NWO Machine was actually a friend of Razor Ramon's, and actually he knew him because he was in the like the talk show business back in Canada. He's from out there in those areas, Vancouver and Calgary and such, and he actually would correspond with Scott Hall all the time. And the jacket that he's wearing, I'm pretty sure NWO Machine actually owns that jacket because he showed it on one of the videos that the guys did. So that was kind of a cool story to recognize BC Hunter, Jay Myers, the Nightmare Jay Myers, and of course NWO Machine. So that was kind of a Razor Ramon thought. But the toothpick, I always did the toothpick. I mean, certainly. I mean, Dusty Baker was the obviously other toothpick person I could think of, but I don't think Dusty Baker held a candle to how Mr. Ramon had the toothpick in his mouth.
Oof. He's wrestling Jim Powers here. Jim Powers was
Jump in, Jim Powers. Jim Powers.
And he was a member of Power and Glory, I believe, with Paul Roma. Yeah,
that was like
Young Stallions too, right?
That was the Young Stallions, not Power and Glory. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that was Hercules and Roma. That was Power and Glory. I love this finisher. One of my favorite finishers ever. The Razor's Edge, amazing. I love it. 1, 2, 3. That's it.
Now, we've seen a number of different wrestlers on this show, and I asked one of our wrestlers who was on Sportswire Radio in the UK, Wildfire Nate Reese, this question. I got to ask you guys this question. I mean, is Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon, the greatest wrestler never to hold a world title? I mean, I saw Mr. Perfect, but he technically held the AWA world title. You had Ted DiBiase, who you may or may not consider a former world champion, and then you've got Scott Hall, and I mean, they're kind of like up there in terms of notable guys who never held a world title. Is Scott Hall the greatest guy never to hold a world championship in you guys' opinions?
I think he is.
I'd say yes. Yeah. I mean, that would be an easy, quick answer for me. Yeah, I think so. I honestly, I think Scott was one of the most talented guys in the ring and on the microphone, and just had that natural likability, even though you didn't want to like him because he was the bad guy. Like, it just is that cool factor. Like,
yeah, he didn't need, some wrestlers like needed the championship, they needed the belt. He didn't really need it. He didn't need the title. He never needed one.
It's brother crush here, brother. And you know, brother,
I heard you say that hundreds of times.
Crush there, brother crusher. There's a brother crush gonna crush brother. Even in the brother UK, brother.
Something tells me Michael Watkins could pull the mullet off. Something tells me that Michael Watkins could pull that off.
Michael Watkins is absolutely rock a mullet. Shout out to Watkins.
And a purple tank top.
And a purple tank top. God damn it, pal. But I gave the mayor a fucking Halloween costume earlier, and Thomas just gave Michael Watkins one. So Watkins, there you go, pal.
We're on a roll here tonight.
We are. We really are. Brother. I did episode 2 of Gigomania with Glenn, and I asked him what a conversation between Jimmy Snuka and Brother Crush would sound like. A lot of brothers in that conversation.
Now, Jimmy Hart, I know we've talked about this, and I've heard you guys on other shows say this, but Jimmy Hart, like, I just saw him in a video on Instagram with Hulk Hogan. He still looks like almost the same. I mean, is he cloned? You speak to people who are cloned. I mean, Jimmy Hart literally looks like the same as he did right now.
Yeah, I saw him in person probably, I'm going to say 5 or 6 years ago. And I think he probably would have been like 72, 73
he's like
at
almost
the time.
80, Jimmy Hart. I'm pretty
he's
sure
almost
like
80. And he looks identical to that. Like, zero change. He has not aged one day since probably 1980.
There you go, pal. He must be cloned, but the mayor knows because he was just telling us he's going to clone himself. So the clone motherfuckers. You seen the Jimmy Hart clones at the clone place you go to?
We can't discuss that.
I mean, there's just some people. I mean, look, I saw a picture on Instagram of DDP. I know he doesn't have the hair, but like DDP looks like he's in. I mean, he's got to be about 65, 66, and he looks like. Yeah, he looks like he's like as good a shape as he may even be in better shape than a quarter century ago. It's amazing.
Mayor, how do you feel about that child?
Yeah, that kid
We're
was
gonna
held.
Crush next week. Somebody's getting
there
choked.
It is. Nails is going to be in action.
He's going to choke someone.
And the Hitman Bret Hart. I can't wait to
Hitman,
see
Bret
that.
Hart. Look at the hit and then the space.
Oh, and the
Repo Man,
Beverly
the
Brothers and the Repo Man versus Duggan and the Bushwhackers. Saliva Mania, pal.
Then speaking
Wow.
of Glen Falls, New York, Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
There you go, pal. There you go. And that does it. That is this episode of the Mayor of Superstars. We thank.
Uh-oh, Brent just disappeared. We thank Brent as well for.
I mean, certainly we want to give a shout out to Mr. Piles. Obviously, that does happen on StreamYard. Technical difficulties do happen. Obviously, if you like what you hear from the Work in Progress guys, do please give them a like and follow on Instagram. There he goes. Technical difficulties there, I think.
No technical difficulties. I'm a fucking idiot. Did click the wrong box.
Oh, okay. Well, that works.
The technical difficulties are all right here.
Well, we all have that same problem.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I knew Thomas would be able to hold it together for me, though, so that was nice of him.
I just actually started licking the screen like I was one of the Bushwhackers. You missed it. I was lost.
Damn it.
No,
You know
I
what the
didn't
good
really.
thing
Looking at like you had a WWF ice cream bar 30 years ago, pretty much, right?
The good news is StreamYard still records, so I can watch it later. I can watch it later. Well, as I was going to say before I clicked myself out of here, we want to thank our special guest, Thomas, for joining us. Thomas, I know you got something to plug. Go ahead and do it for us.
Well, I want to really just plug you guys, honestly, and all you guys do here again on SportsWire Radio, and obviously again for the Northeast Streaming Sports Channel. I really thank you guys and for all your hard work and all your hard-hitting analysis with a little touch of laughter, almost a little bit of a lighter shade of pale. I'm trying to think of the Pocahontas song there, going way back in the time machine. Maybe Glenn would have probably appreciated that reference. But obviously, I just really enjoy being here. Obviously, been a fan of you guys' work for a long time, and when I thought about SportsWire Radio and bringing on content and stuff, you guys were really at the top of the list here. When I got to be station manager here just about 10 or 11 months ago, you guys were at the list of shows I would have wanted to have a part of it, and just appreciate everything you guys do, and just your overall commentary, and that's just what I'd like to say. And just can't thank everybody enough that's listened to SportsWire Radio and supported all of our great content. Of course, if you like what you hear from SportsWire Radio, please give us a like on Facebook at SportsWire Radio. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you can hear shows like The Work in Progress, Piece of Business like Glenn and Jeremy, and the Sit Down Marks, and the Rewind Wrestling Podcast, the Wrestling with the Truth Podcast, the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, and countless other shows on sportnarium.com/player. So we're a 24-hour station, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and we play pretty much everything. We have all types of stuff. We also go live Friday nights, 9:30 p.m. Also, we do some live stuff with, again, some wrestling companies we had mentioned earlier on. And that's really all I want to say. I don't want to, take over the reins here too much, because it's your guys' show here, and I'm big fans of you guys' work, and big fan of the figure collection, as I was saying to you guys before. And the Rock poster there behind the mayor, I mean, I'm envious of the Rock poster. It almost reminds me of when I was a kid. I had the Bret the Hitman Hart poster when he had won in the match against the 1-2-3 kid, where he put him in the sharpshooter on the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
This poster I had, and whatever reason I can't find it. I used to always hang up on my room here, and I think of that poster very similar to that. So you guys are just an awe of your guys' collection and stuff, and I guess your man cave, you might want to call it. But I just happy to be here. Just thank you guys for all you really do for SportsWire Radio. Is all I can really say.
Man, like, you thank us, but then we thank you, because you do everything for us. I mean, we don't really do a whole lot for you. I send you the files, and you get all the work done, man. So you got us on. You got us on the Roku app. You get us on the radio. So
listen, I like to play it sometimes when I finish work. I'm a newspaper carrier overnight, and a lot of times before I go to sleep, I try to listen to you guys at some point. So I kind of like that energy you guys give me a bit. So I really appreciate it. I generally try to play you guys as much as I can. It's you and really the Sit Down Marks. I think that you and the Sit Down Marks, I probably play the most of all the shows for whatever reason. So it's just,
I just recently, so we got, I'm gonna get my plug in here. We got the Manic Matches of WrestleMania, which comes out on this Tuesday coming up, and I had the Sit Down Marks on.
Oh, that'd be a good one. They'd be a good one to have.
Primo and AJ joined me, and yeah, man, I had a ball talking to them. It was a whole lot of fun. I have a lot of guys on that show.
Yeah, what's great about those guys is they're actually like they're cutting their teeth now in the wrestling business. They're actually like learning how to set up the ring. They're actually going there and they're like a part of, the shows and such. And they're really, and I remember speaking with them, having a conversation about this and such. And they've really taken the bull by the horns. And I really can't wait to hear that. So definitely please send that show over.
Oh, no, I'm going to get you that show. They're going to get the show. I got a special video version coming up on our Twitch. I'm going to show it on Thursday, the 31st of March. So check that out. I got a bunch of guys. I got Kyle from the Apron Bump podcast on there. I got the guys from the Mindless Wrestling podcast on there. I've got actually my wife Rachel joined me to watch a couple of matches this morning. She's going to be on there, so that's going to be fun. And there's some other people on there that I can't even. I have so many people on there that
is your wife a wrestling fan? I mean, does your wife get into it like
So
you and I?
No, not really. There's a couple of shows a year that she'll actually sit and watch and get interest to, which is WrestleMania and or she watched it a little bit in the late '90s, like when we all did when the NWO was big. So no, not really. And I've had her on before, but it was only for like 2 minutes. So we actually kind of watched a couple.
Well, I remember when you did the show with Michael Watkins, and I remember your wife, I think, was sometimes a part of that. I think with Michael Watkins' wife, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they used to comment a lot. That was fun, man. I miss doing that.
Me too. That was a fun show. I've said that to Watkins off the air before. I wish I would have had that show on SportsWire. I enjoyed that. That was the show during COVID I would listen to a lot on my phone while I was working. You guys really kept my mind going, so I really always appreciate your content. Yep.
Sorry, Mayor. I feel like you've been sitting here smiling this whole time. I always ask the mayor this. You got anything you want to plug?
I normally am not, the big plugging guy, but I do want to plug, SportsWire Radio for everything that they provide, the platform for us to reach all the ears that we get to, reach and tap dance into their little earbuds as they're doing whatever job they're doing. And, that's kind of how I started with AWI Pod. Was I just really was listening and loving everything that they were doing. And now I'm here talking to you and I'm loving it, and that that's it reaches people, and it really puts a smile on people's faces, and a lot of times we need that.
Oh, absolutely. No, listen. I mean, that's what we want to try to do is give people, an alternative, and that's really what we try to accomplish here with SportsWire Radio is, give people different platforms and such. And you guys are a part of it, and I'd be happy to come back, at any time schedules fit and such. I'd certainly be happy to come on if you guys would like me to come back on, and anything I can do for you guys and. Different outlets and content. Be happy to do that at any time.
Absolutely, Paul. We'll definitely have you back on again. Check out SportsWire Radio. Follow Thomas on Twitter. It's at Thomas Price 2017. Follow the mayor. It's at Mayor Pin. Follow me. I'm at the Nebraska Dream. We're at AWI Pod. At AWI Pod on Instagram. AWIPod.com/ AWI Pod TV. Twitch.tv/AWIPod. There's too much fucking shit for me in this, and I've had too many beers, and Patreon.com/AWIPod if you want to give us some money. I don't know why you would, but if you want to, that's it. I got nothing else. We'll talk to you guys next time.